Welcome to the mini meta minutes. This is after the first week of season 47. I'm your host, Ken. If you don't know who I am, well, now you do. Me, I'm Ken. This show is looking at us, I should probably change this text here. It's not very, very quick, but it's semi-quick. And we essentially look at what happened after the first week and sort of what do I think are the good, surprising, unexpected, whatever, defensive teams and some offensive ones, but I'm primarily looking at defensive ones. Part of this is sort of like what I'm going to do for my defense for the next 2 weeks. So here's a little wet. I just came out of a shower. In 22 minutes, in 27 minutes, I have to leave for a 3-hour meeting. So in like 22 minutes, to give myself 5 minutes, I would like to finish the show. So let's see if we can do that. Basically, I'm going to go sort of break this up into a few little pieces. We're going to look through a lot of stats together on GG. And essentially, I look at this first from a GL perspective, like what GLs held this season. None, no GLs held. Of course, that's not actually exactly true. Some definitely held. There's quite a few of holds versus non-GLs. I would say, and actually that is probably the most significant difference compared to last 3v3 season. Not hugely different, but a bit different. The non-GL or off-tier counters worked less well against GLs the first week of this season than they did last season. So we're going to look one GL at a time and see what the difference is. In all cases, I put pretty specific filters here in Insight, GAC Insight. I put the stacking defense from set 11, for instance, for Ray, because I think that's by far the best one. And essentially, we'll start with Ray here. And very interestingly, there's like no overlaps of GLs, or very few overlaps of GLs that are best to counter other GLs. Like it's a very little rock, paper, scissors type of thing, in my opinion. Anyway, Ray. So this is, of course, the best Ray team. There's some other Ray teams that do a little better job against some specific counters, but in general, this is the one that holds best. The thing is, really just do a counter, a mirror. I mean, Ray mirror seems like the easiest way to me. If you don't Ray mirror, you have a good chance of losing, honestly. Like JMK is probably what I'd go with no revive. That's higher than 45% if you use cat no revive. But then you can't use your JMK against Jabba, but if your opponent doesn't place Jabba because he's using against your Leia. I mean, there's a lot of little ifs, ands, and buts there, but why even play that game? Just use Ray mirror and don't worry about it. It's going to be easy. Reasonable banners, very little RNG. That's my take. Lord Vader. Lord Vader is actually sort of interesting. I think this is one of the few places where there's a bit of a, give and take depending on what you set on your defense. Sort of comes down to Lord Vader and Leia, I think, in terms of the GLs that will define your defensive offensive strategy. But anyway, this is the basic, the most difficult team to kill with an off-tier team, and it still gets killed pretty well with JML or JMK. SLKR as well. But I personally think that the JML, which is like the trashiest GL in 3v3, in my opinion, if you use JML, and my personal favorite is you go with something like Barris, and then Hoda or JKL or Shock or even JKR. I like JKR personally. It's sort of expensive if you plan on using him elsewhere, but Barris I think is the best one in this setup. And this is with set 11. This is not looking at set 10. You don't need set 10 at all. Just have like decent protection, for the assist spam. You don't even need that much. Like I think I did it every single match in my first week. Like 40% protection or something. It's not even 40, I think it's 34. I don't have a really good protection cron. And man, the fight is just super easy. again, if you don't want to use JML, you can use JMK, SLKR, Lord Vader mirror. Of course, Leia kills everything on offense. So yeah, that's, can't really off-tier it very well. Afra doesn't do a very good job. What's very interesting, I see this a few times, well, more than a few times, but with Malicos in there. So you can still SLKR it pretty easily, but if you don't SLKR it, it's not very easy with JML, it's not very easy with JMK. Interesting, very, very interesting setup. So I really, the SLKR Malicos, I think there's some, I mean the Lord Vader Malicos, Maul Malicos, I think there's some interesting possibility here. This is, of course, a good datacron. I didn't filter for omicrons. So that would probably make it a little tougher to beat. But I like this team. Some interesting stuff there. Leia, Toxic Leia. It kills pretty easily. So I'm looking at, by the way, so here's looking at Jabba. Obviously, SLKR, Malicos, and KRU. In my opinion, the best, most reliable, easiest counter. It's been done so many times. You know the turn order, you know the, well, you don't have to have a turn order, but like the moves that you need to make. It's not that complicated, very reliable. Again, if your SLKR is Relic 7 and theirs is Relic 9, they'll cross a team, and your Malicos is Relic 7 also, and you only have one Omicron, and you don't have the defense stacking datacron, that's definitely more difficult. But we'll look at that in a second. But look at this here with Jabba versus Leia. Actually pretty decent. Overall higher stats than SLKR Malicos, although SLKR Malicos has a way, way larger sample size. But the interesting part is, don't do it with the Wookiee. Do it with Skiff or Boba. This is only with the level 6, by the way. For using Jabba, I only filtered the level 6 for Hutt Cartel. So with Boosh, it's going to go even higher, although not hugely. You only get the armor stacking. Leia prevents the cooldown reduction from the datacron, so it's not like one turn less for Boosh's skill, like the datacron level 9 says. But pretty good. 43 battles altogether, 80+% win rate, assuming your team is higher relic, which generally they are because of unlock requirements. Jabba the DPS race, that's sort of surprising. So let's take off that level 6 and take off Jabba, and now we can go see, it's like KR Malicos. And again, I do like the introduction here of Ninth Sister into a lot of them. Doesn't seem to make a big difference. I guess the advantage is it gives you a bit of daze, and it's a bit faster at the beginning because she has speed up. No, she doesn't have speed up. That is from Lord Vader. Never mind. But anyway, either one of Ninth Sister or KRU, the results are quite good. If you have the Omicrons on Malicos and the good Datacron, level 9 or level 6, the stacking defense one, I think you're set. That's a great setup. Jabba. This is Jabba with the good level 6 and the good level 9. So if you don't have either one of those, Jabba will be easier to beat. But in general, super easy to beat with JMK Cat. This is not even with the no revive flag. With no revive, it goes up to like 90-some%. Very easy. However, not a lot of other ones. Afra is not great. Even if you put the good Afra DC, it's like 70% or something like that. To me, I would never do Afra against Jabba, assuming they have the good DCs, unless I really, really, really had to. If RNG targeting goes the wrong way and they kill Afra first, you're screwed. Like, I really don't like it. I don't like it. Doable, but I don't like it. Lord Vader, I mean SLKR can do all right. Surprisingly, Leia is 60-some%. I was expecting more like 80 or something, but yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Lord Vader is decent as well with the double here, the good team. Or with Piet, you're at like 71%. So sort of the same stats as SLKR, but SLKR and Malicos are definitely higher when you add in the Omicrons for Malicos. So in my mind, that's the better choice. Interestingly enough, there's some Malicos ones or Riva here. But yeah, I really think JMK Cat's the easier way to go because we'll get to JMK in a bit. He's not that great on defense. So, Sith Eternal Emperor here. This is filtering with Savage, which is a decent setup, can slow down some SLKR ones. Savage +1, so there's options you can put in there. You put in Savage plus, Malik. 93. I mean, the problem is with C, like, he's great at shutting down non-SLKR, and I think non-JMK too. This one does shut down Lord Vader, which is nice. No luck with Jabba. Rey is 100%. So, there's something to be said for C on defense, depending on the comp. It really depends, though, on if you're putting a lot of GLs on if you're expecting your opponent to have a lot of GLs on defense or not. So it's a bit of a gamble on what they keep and what they don't keep. But C is, I think I didn't mention him in my text, but in my mind he's sort of like the third decision-making GL. I don't know exactly what to say. And not lastly, but second to lastly, this is JML. I think the best JML comp, JKL and JKR, are very expensive. Get dumpstered by Star Killer, gets dumpstered by Riva, by Malgus, Afra, not so much. But really, I mean, don't put JML on defense. He gets killed by all the GLs and these 3 non-GL teams. I don't like it. Yeah, and I forgot earlier when I was doing my text, JMK. This is JMK with no revive, so a better JMK. Doesn't stop the mirror. It does. The Reva results were not great. Not a lot of attempts, though. And I've seen one of these matches on a stream. It was a loss. It should have been a win. The match was played wrong. The way that you play it normally, you can prevent Cat from ever taking a single turn without ability block. So if you play it that way, you're fine. But still, because now if you put JMK, no revive, you don't have any like beefiness, bulkiness. So JML beats it, C beats it, the mirror beats it, of course Leia beats it. Jabba doesn't. Lord Vader beats it. SLKR, maybe not so much. Rey beats it. Like, you can put JMK on defense. I just don't think it's a good choice. It's a gamble based on what your opponent is going to do or not do. Okay, what else here? Where's the magic juice? Why did I use magic juice? Anyway, where do you sort of get the give and take? Like what's the rock paper? You know, it was rock paper Leia last 3v3 season. It's not so much that now. Leia is beatable by 2 teams. You know, you have SLKR and you have potentially Lord Vader. Even JMK Cat can do a little bit, not with a no revive though. Anyway, you basically have SLKR and you have Jabba that can beat Leia relatively reliably. So those are 2 GLs to keep in mind. Then you have Lord Vader. I think it's most interesting with Lord Vader Malicos because just regular Lord Vader with Maul and Thrawn, you can beat with JML, and most people don't put JML on defense. And the only other place you use JML really is like against maybe JMK, but most people don't put JMK on defense. So I guess it's sort of like 2 routes. If you keep your Jabba for offense or you keep your Jabba on defense, then you have some interesting decision paths there. But there's still so many choices that your opponent has to kill any of your teams. And if you do put Vader Malicos on defense, it means that you have to keep your you can keep your Leia on offense, theoretically, or your Jabba for offense. So there's some interesting potentials to be done there, but I'm not so sure. it still doesn't feel, it just feels like it's easy to kill anything on offense, in my opinion. There's not a lot of, or at least my brain doesn't comprehend so far, a lot of interesting rock, paper, scissors type of play. But you do have a lot of that on the non-GL teams. So I think the first most interesting thing, well, before we go into Jawas here, they're a little disappointing, I think. But anyway, the first most interesting thing is Iden is sort of not on the board anymore. Not always, but in general, for people who have Dark Trooper Gideon, you know, because he's available now for people if they relicked him up. Certainly not going to be everybody, but a lot of people did. Great character. He's going to go with 2 Imperial Remnants. Obviously, Scout is like the best to put him with. And then another one, I guess, Stormtrooper or Death Trooper or something like that. But you take Scout away from Iden, and that sort of makes Iden not 100%. You know, if you have really a high defense, datacron, and the 400%, you know, offense defense thing for Iden, maybe with like death and range or something, you can kill some Wampas, but not really. I mean, it's like small RNG you're looking for if your Wampa on your opponent's side is sort of crap and your team's like really decked out. But do you really want to gamble with that? Radis kills Iden so easily regardless. Yeah, but so I don't think Iden's going to be on defense, is what I'm saying. Because Dark Gideon's going to be there. How is Dark Gideon going to be beaten, or what's going to be used against him? I honestly don't know. I'm very curious. That's something that'll be a defining part of week 2 for sure. Besides that, my gosh, I have to try and finish in 5 minutes. Jawa. Bummer. He's like, for good, this is looking only at Kyber 1, by the way. For good KRUs, they can beat him, Wampa, Malik, and a bunch of other teams. Unfortunately, this is looking at the good Java team with both level 6 and level 9 for Scavenger. Tuskens, one of the top 3, I would say, defensive teams. This is the best Tusken team with Raider and Warrior. Nothing, I'm just looking non-GLs, nothing at 100%, not very many over 80. So great team right there, fantastic. Another really good one, Starkiller on defense. Especially if you consider that you're not gonna use your Starkiller versus Rey, what do you use your Starkiller on? Maybe Gas? Maybe Gas, that's a good team. If not Gas, this is Starkiller with Riposte, by the way. Plenty of GLs to kill him. But even Afra, with the good level 6s, and level 9s, I mean, for Afra, is not guaranteed. Starkiller Mirror can work. Riva is pretty good against it. Wampa, eh. But interesting, I think Starkillers are a pretty good team on defense too. Now this is probably the best Darth Revan lead, Fallen Bastilla and Savage. Mirror is the best. Mirror or Starkiller or here Treya, Savage, Darth Nihilus. Serious team right here. Definitely a serious team. A few Padmes are succeeding. Malgus can do, not amazing. Pretty good defensive comp. Ewoks. So, unfortunately, Radis kills quite a few teams in 3s. He's very good. Radis does it, Riva does it, Troopers do not, Starkiller does, not really Wampas, Trey is easy, Gas is easy. Anything that's like no revive makes it quite good. All of these teams though, not very good banners. So similar to Jawas, Ewoks are an excellent banner stripping team. Not great for holds, I mean, can definitely get holds, but a lot of teams beat it. But great at banner stripping. This is using, I think I was using, L3's datacron. So it's a little different if you add an ability block or blind or reset or something like. Reset is sort of nice if you have an Hondo. This is a pretty good team. I mean, Radis, not really that great. Gas, not many attempts, only 75% here. CLS, only 75%. Bad Batch, 75%. a good team. A good team. I think there's some interesting stuff here. You can take out Hondo and you can put in, Vandor instead. Definitely not as good. Hondo is very, very good. If he has the Omicron, he's going to go first. Or 2 scoundrels there. So, yeah, I like this. I like the Hondo version of Dashley there with L3. Because L3, if she has a good amount of health and she counters a lot, she does a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Very surprising. Lastly, I don't have any lastly teams. That was lost in my team. So we'll end it there. Some defensive things to keep in mind for week 2 versus week 3 and week 1. Change every week. It makes it so even if you don't change a lot, change. Change something on your defense. Take 3 minutes and change a team. Please, don't make it easy for your opponent. Depending on where you are in week 1, if you won or if you lost, week 2 can be your sort of practice stuff to make sure you have a great week 3. Or week 2 can be your I don't care if I lose. I'm going to come back and win it all in week 3. Or week 2 can also be your crush it, and then you win 1 or 2 in week 3 to finish out the week strong. Week 2 is definitely much easier because you have all the data. So don't forget to check the matchups. And of course, I'm not saying everything that I know. A few other notes. I'm not saying everything I know because this would be like an hour and a half long. It would be ridiculous. Yeah. And a few other offensive stuff. Hux Trooper, Red Trooper, Sith Trooper, and First Order TIE Pilot, fantastic team on offense. Kills a bunch of stuff, especially stuff with set 12. Because their set 11 is, it kills set 11 stuff as well, but with set 12 having no defensive stats, it's very good. Wedge, Han, and Chewie, go look at the offensive stats for him. My goodness, if you have the level 9 for Wedge, this team puts out redonkulous. That's not really a cool phrase these days, I don't think. It puts out a huge amount of damage. It's very impressive. Keep an eye out for it. That's awesome. Can do a lot. When using Jedi Knight Cal against Malgus or other teams, use Bast Lead. Don't use JKL Lead or JKR. Use Bast Lead. You get more turn meter. You have Force Taunt on any tank. You have a lot more survivability at the beginning to get Jedi Knight Cal to 30 stacks. Use that. Do I have any other contributions? Did I think of anything else while I was talking? No, I'm a bit stressed for time. Good luck with your planning, your defensive planning stage. Good luck with your next week. Well, I'll talk to you guys guys and girls, ladies, boys. I'll talk to you in a couple of days during the defensive settings phase after the first round of attacks. So with that, good luck. Talk to you later.